Good evening. It being 7:30 on Tuesday, March 6th of 2024, we are beginning this meeting of the Braintree Town Council. President Ryan could not be here tonight due to a work commitment, so I will be chairing the meeting. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would ask for everyone to remain standing so we can have a moment of silence for all those who serve in our military, home and abroad, our public safety personnel, and specifically for former Braintree Fire Chief Carl Battagliano, who had passed away. Thank you very much. Clerk Semino, can we have a roll call to begin the meeting?
Councilor Barrica?
Here.
Councilor Flaherty?
Here.
Councilor Hume?
Here.
Councilor Maglio?
Here.
Councilor Moran?
Here.
Councilor Quilty?
Here.
Councilor Reynolds?
Here.
Councilor Ringus?
Here.
Councilor Ryan will not be attending this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Semino. Moving on to announcements, we have our student artwork, which is being displayed here. We'd like to thank teacher Julie Camposano and the students for their new student artwork here in our council chambers. I think that was a measure that was started a few years back, and it obviously adds something to our meetings. So from East Middle School, some of the artwork we have is from grade 5, Brendan Chisholm and Ashlyn Aucoin. From grade 7, we have Kenley Milan and Emily Chen demonstrating some of their artwork. From grade 8, we have Coco Chen. And then from South Middle School, we have grade 5, Joyce Lee and Cian Du. From grade 6, Evelyn Monroe and Sarah Kilpatrick. And from grade 8, Layla Gonsalves. The kids are not with us tonight, but they're obviously always welcome to come and see their artwork that is now sort of displayed here. That is the only announcement we have that is here, but do we have any announcements from council members?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I do have one. Yesterday, Governor Haley and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll administration announced a major veteran homeless initiative for the state. I wanted to bring that to the attention of the people of Braintree, and particularly to the government and to the rest of the councilors here this evening. The mission is to bring homelessness among veterans to a functional zero by 2027 and develop that infrastructure to maintain the functional zero. The goals are to develop and implement comprehensive and evidence-based strategies to prevent and intervene in cases of veteran homelessness, better coordinate efforts across federal, state, and nonprofit sectors, support homeless veteran-serving organizations to be more data-driven and strategic, active in development of affordable veteran housing, and engage with broader homelessness eradication efforts. Pardon me, my tongue seems to be not working too well for me this evening. And there'll be more to discuss about this in the future, but just very quickly, the campaign consists of 5 pillars: homelessness outreach to placement effort, which the term is HOPE, capital investments supporting veteran housing, aligning supportive services with veteran housing goals, end veteran homelessness advisory council, and empowering supporting our veteran service providers. So thank you. I appreciate the time to make that announcement, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. I believe Councilor Hume and then Councilor Maglio.
Thank you, Vice President Ringus, right? Mayor Joyce and the Braintree Recreation Department is holding their monthly bingo, which it's turning out to be, on Wednesday, March 20th, right here at Town Hall, Cahill Auditorium at 6 p.m. People of all ages are welcome to attend. They've had a huge turnout. Both young and more mature people have been attending. Snacks, drinks are available for purchase, and it is a great fun night. So come on out.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Maglio.
Thank you, Councilor Ringus. I would like to make a brief announcement to the people of East Braintree that there is a community meeting happening on March 12th, 6:30 to 8 at the Braintree Yacht Club, and it's to continue our community conversation, and all are welcome from 6:30 to 8.
Thank you, Councilor Maglio. Anything further? Councilor Flaherty.
Thank you. Today is Black Balloon Day, which is an initiative that is designed to help families who have experienced overdose kind of represent the grief and struggle that they have been through as a consequence of those experiences. And so if you see a black balloon around or perhaps posted to social media, you can understand what that means. It's a national problem, and it certainly has definitely hit Braintree. So today is in recognition of that.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Moran.
Mr. Vice Chair. I just want to expand upon and offer my own condolences to the family of Carl Vitagliano. When I served as a select board member in the 90s, he was the fire chief at the time, retired from that position, and then I had the privilege of serving with him as a select board member for several years as well. No one loved Braintree more than Carl Vitagliano, served it well, and he is a neighbor of mine for decades. We thank him for his service to the town and express our condolences to his family.
Thank you, Councilor Moran. Anything further from any councilors? Seeing none, we have no approval of minutes tonight, so we'll be moving on to old business. 24010, Mayor, appointment of Michael Esmond as the Director of Municipal Finance or taking up any action relative thereto. I'd first refer to Councilor Barrica, the Chairwoman of the Committee of Ways and Means, for a recommendation on order 24010.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Ringus. The committee met earlier this evening with a favorable, unanimous recommendation to the council.
Thank you, Councilor Barrica. Mayor Joyce.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you, Vice President Ringus. I am before you tonight to proudly offer my recommendation for appointment of Mr. Michael Esmond as our new Director of Municipal Finance. He will be taking over for our former Finance Director, Ed Spellman, who retired a couple of weeks ago. I just wanted to share, as I shared earlier this evening with the Ways and Means Committee, just an excerpt from the interest letter that was submitted along with Mr. Esmond's application for the position, and it reads, Dear hiring manager, recruiter, I write with great interest and enthusiasm to submit my resume for your consideration for the finance director opening currently listed on the Town of Braintree's website. As a resident of the town and a senior financial professional, I view the opportunity as an unparalleled chance to link my career interests and experience with the community I live in. Mr. Esmond has a very long professional background and resume that I believe is going to be very beneficial to the town of Braintree. He absolutely understands the challenges that lie ahead. He is ready to get to work on behalf of the town. He is a Braintree resident and actually is a Braintree schools parent with children in our school district. So I believe he will be experiencing a lot of the decisions that we're going to be faced with making firsthand and in his own life as a resident of Braintree. So I am very proud to make this appointment, and I will invite Mr. Esmond up just so you have an opportunity to ask questions of him and hopefully be able to confirm his appointment tonight. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mayor Joyce. Mr. Esmond.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Mayor. I don't know if there's anything further I should say, but
I don't know if you want to do a quick introduction, and then we'll open it up to the councils if they have any further questions for you.
Sure. And I'll be quick because I don't want to bore the House or the Ways and Means team any further. But yeah, just very quickly, I am a resident of Braintree. I've been living in Braintree for about 3.5 years. Almost all of my career service has been in the public sector at the state level primarily, also having had a chance to work as a consultant in consulting federal, state, and local clients as well. So, you know, it's been a really great pleasure to talk and sit with the mayor and her team for the interview, and I view this opportunity to make a difference in my town, but also, you know, to get right to work on a number of the key issues that the town faces, the mayor faces and the town council face, you know, in the year ahead, as well as to, you know, work to make some long-term improvements for the town's, you know, the long-term town financial planning and being a part of that.
Thank you, Mr. Esmond. Any questions or comments from members of the council? Councilor Hume.
Thank you. Thank you and welcome. Our former director, Ed Spellman, who was here for quite a number of years, did a phenomenal job. It was tough shoes to fill, but looking at your resume, it's an impressive resume, and a lot of the skills you possess. I agree with Mayor Joyce. I think her selection is perfect for this role because you have such a wide variety of skills that are so important to the town, to the director of finance, but for municipal finance. And your background clearly shows that. So I will be in full support of this. Thank you, Mayor Joyce, for bringing Mr. Esmond before us, and hope to be working with you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Baraka.
Thank you very much, Vice President Ringus. I just wanted to echo Councilor Hume's sentiments, and I really commend Mayor Joyce for bringing this appointment before us. But to some of the discussion we had upstairs early this evening is Mr. Esmond talked about his vision and really laying out a strategy to make sure that our financial health is where we all want it to be, is when we know the situation, as this body has been espousing for years, is difficult. So really appreciate your willingness to join the town, and thank you to Mayor Joyce and her team for bringing this appointment before us. But I, fully support this nomination this evening.
Thank you, Councilor Baraka. Councilor Reynolds.
Thank you. I know we've had this conversation upstairs with in the Ways and Means Committee, but I think it's important for the people of Braintree who are listening in this evening, and for the other council members who weren't able to attend that meeting, that if you would, cover a little bit of some of the concerns that I had asked about, specifically revenues, the generation of needed revenues versus borrowing, and the environment we find ourselves in from an economic standpoint. The inflationary measures, the impacts, the cost of goods these days, doing business. All of those are factors that this town has to deal with while we're in a very difficult financial situation. Sure. As we look down the road versus what our needs are today, I was impressed with your responses to that. I think it's also important to point out that your experiences as working in the Massachusetts Executive Office of Administration and Finance during a time that was, if not equally, or pretty much equally as challenging as the times we find ourselves in today, and where this town found itself when it converted from a selectman town meeting form of government to a mayoral form of government, and the very, very difficult challenges that faced the state and the town. If you could share a little bit of what you shared earlier.
Sure. Thank you. So I think there's a couple questions, and I'll see if I can recap them correctly in order. So as a resident, I am, one thing I shared was is that I'm able to sort of experience and the services of the town, particularly the critical core municipal services of education primarily, but also fire, municipal, public works. I think I'll see those as what a resident would see, what a parent would see, and be able to address those. And with that context, I think will be helpful, and I appreciate the opportunity for that. With respect to the larger question about revenues, what the town will be facing or has faced, there's some components of that are absolutely not novel just to the town. We're coming out of a high inflation cycle, is what I said upstairs, but and at the same time we're entering into a cycle of more moderating revenue growth. And that affects the whole, all the residents and their personal finances, and obviously that point of view is a perspective that will be, evaluating what we do here. It's critical to keep a long-term view of the actions that you take in any single year in mind, and I think that's important as we start to write the budget plan for a single year is to build a multi-year framework, particularly so we understand what the long-term plan is to support the vision of the town, while obviously making sure we meet the task of delivering a responsible, balanced budget. We are You know, my feeling is that there are obviously revenue challenges the town faces unique, as well as the common to all cities and towns, and we're going to have to tackle them head on. And you know, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to do that and get to work to support the mayor, support the town council, and the residents.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything, other councilors? Seeing none. Well, Mr. Esmond, thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for your candor. I know the Ways and Means I spoke to you earlier, so I appreciate you sticking around for this meeting as well. As Councilor Hume indicated, some significantly sized shoes to fill, but it looks from everything that I've seen before me that you are up to the challenge. So I look forward to the future and working with you. Obviously, we're going into our busy season, so your guidance will be much appreciated. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Vice President, upon the request of Her Honor Mayor Joyce, Town of Braintree, through the Braintree Town Council, in accordance with sections 3-3 and 2-10 of the Town Charter, approve the appointment of Michael Esmond as Director of Municipal Finance.
Do I have a second? I have a motion from Council Baraka, a second by Council Flaherty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Esmond. Moving on to 24011, Mayor appointment of KP Law as Town Solicitor or taking up any action relative thereto. I would first refer to Council Baraka, Chairwoman of the Committee of Ways and Means, for recommendation on this order.
Thank you very much, Vice President Ringus. The council is the committee is sending this to the full council with a unanimous favorable recommendation. I will say we didn't get all of our questions answered, but we know we have this meeting to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Baraka. Mayor Joyce.
Great. Thank you so much, councilors. I'm pleased to be before you this evening with an appointment request for KP Law as our town solicitor. We had, in the previous administration, had an in-house solicitor. KP Law does have a lot of familiarity in the town of Braintree and does have a very accessible, broad range of municipal law services that I think are going to benefit the town of Braintree as we, move forward with some of the caseload that we have and just making sure that we're able to cover all of our different needs on the town solicitor side. We have tonight Carolyn Murray and Brian Mazer, who are both with KP Law, so they, in a moment, I'll invite them up to be able to ask questions or answer questions that the council may have. But very pleased to be bringing forward KP Law. They are a top-notch firm, and I think will be a huge benefit to have working on behalf of the town of Braintree. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Joyce. Welcome back, Attorney Murray.
Thank you, members of the council, and to Mayor Joyce for that, those kind remarks. It's very, as I said upstairs with the Ways and Means, it's very nice to see mostly all of you again. Councilor Quilty, it's nice to meet you, and I look forward to working with you. And yes, we didn't get to ask a lot of questions upstairs, so Brian and I are here fair game, so we'll answer anything you'd like to know.
Well, with that said, any comments or questions from members of the council? Start with Councilor Hume.
I don't have any questions for you, but as long as I've been involved in Braintree town government, KP Law has been in some form or another involved in town government. And we are well served, especially with you, Ms. Murray. I know you are one of the best solicitors we've had. When Councilor Moran served that position as well. When I heard you were coming back in this capacity, I was thrilled. I don't get excited for many appointments. I am so excited for this. You've been phenomenal working with Braintree over the years. I'm so glad to have you back. KP Law has been a huge, terrific partnership with the town. So I'm fully supportive of this, no questions. So happy you're both here and look forward to more good things for the town from all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hume. Anything further from the council? Councilor Rounds?
I just want to say that I also have had the opportunity to see KP Law in action working for the benefit of Braintree. And I am going to fully endorse this appointment of KP Law. And also, I think, Carolyn, you have proven yourself to be able to lend a very steady hand as things can get a little excited. and you have a very steady head and a steady hand, so I'm looking forward to working with you and with Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. Councilor Baraka.
Thank you very much, Vice President Ringus. And thank you for being here for both meetings this evening. Just on a sort of a more practical note, or I guess a question I didn't get to ask upstairs. So I went and looked, the FY24 budget for our law department was $254,000, which included everything, salary of the solicitor, the in-house solicitor, and legal fees and memberships and things like that. So thank you to the Chief of Staff. I know the council got a little bit late the contract, but I really appreciate seeing that. But my question is, can you talk a little bit about how you are going to bill the town and the $254,000? Do we think that's, I think if I'm accurately read the contract and it was quick, it's like a 15 or 16-month contract. So could you just explain that a little bit?
Certainly.
Thank you.
So typically we bill on an hourly basis, and usually we try to adjust our rates to coincide with the town's fiscal year, so that you can plan to know how much something's going to cost, more or less, as you're preparing your budgets. We have served a special, we have a couple of different tiers. So when we are town council or town solicitor, we typically charge a lower rate than when we've been special counsel. So for example, we've been special counsel for the town, handling a couple of ongoing matters of litigation over the last 10 years. That actually was at $275 an hour. Because of hopefully the approval of this appointment tonight, and for a longer period of time, we've reduced that hourly rate to $255 an hour. Now we've also, depending upon how towns like to structure things, we've had some towns that like to have, we call it a retainer, because I think that's something that's familiar to folks, but I think it's really more like a cap, where there might be certain things where you say, okay, for, pick a number, $5,000 a month, $6,000 a month, whatever it is, you are going to get all of the following. You're going to get attendance at, every council meeting, or you're going to get any advice that we have to give you on routine matters, all get covered in that. In talking with the mayor and chief of staff, I think they, at least initially, would like to keep it as an hourly rate. Doesn't mean we can't revisit that at some point, particularly as, budgets are obviously important, and we're always sensitive to that. The work that we do is all cities and towns. We're not out there representing developers and charging much higher rates. So when you are feeling the budget pinch, we certainly are sensitive to that and try to adjust to that as well.
Thank you very much. May I ask a follow-up? So how do you, and maybe this might be for the mayor as well, how do you see that breakdown occurring? Do we have a sense between like our everyday needs for the solicitor versus the special counsel? Because I know that, as you said, Ms. Murray, the rates change. Thank you, Mayor.
I can speak to maybe some of, in the transitional time as we finish out fiscal year 24's budget. When we were working on setting up sort of the scope, we were essentially anticipating that the KP Law Services for the remainder of the year would be equal and not exceeding to what was allocated in the budget for the previous salary of the former town solicitor. So moving into fiscal year 25, that may or may not be the way we budget it, but we were cognizant of the fact that we didn't want to, take up more monies on the legal side. So in trying to structure sort of the agreement to close out this year and then moving into next year, and I don't know if that answers your question, but trying to stay in the ballpark costs that the town was already spending in the town solicitor role, and transitioning that into a firm, because obviously you go from a salary to different issues in hourly, and keeping tabs on that. So
Okay, I think so. I'm satisfied with that. Thank you for answering that question. That's it for the moment.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Any, Councilor Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I first, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 20B, I filed a disclosure with the town clerk today that I do have a financial interest of limited, but still I wanted to disclose it. My spouse is employed by KP Law and has been employed by them since 2019. The town of Braintree has a long-standing contractual relationship with KP Law that predates both my wife's employment and my election to this position. The mayor has, in this order, proposes to expand KP's law to role to town solicitor. My spouse will not derive any additional benefit from this proposed change in relationship, and I'm disclosing this in an effort to remove any appearance of impropriety. I do not feel that this financial relationship impacts my ability to be fair and impartial on voting on this, and for that reason, I will be participating this evening on the vote. That being said, I want to preface that since 1991, I have been a proponent of in-house counsel in the town of Braintree. I do believe that it is, in the long term, the most effective way to provide counsel, both economically and service-wise. That being said, I am in support of the mayor's initiative to hire KP Law in this position, namely because I have not worked with any better person than Carolyn Murray in my experience in government. She is an outstanding lawyer and an even more outstanding individual, and I think having her involved in representing the town of Braintree can only bring credit to the town. I also think that, and I did review the proposed contract with the town, that it takes the town's current fiscal situation into mind, and I know that and have experience in working with Attorney Murray. Prior to even her being an attorney, she was a paralegal when we first worked together. I know that she is cognizant of the town's finance position and has taken it, or will work within the limitations of the town's finances and make sure that they are that KP Law is economic in spending the town's, or in billing the town. I think this will work for the next fiscal year. I would be supportive of this contract. I think in the long term, I'd like to get back to a place where we restore an in-house counsel. I think it will, in the long term, be more economic. But in transitioning this new administration and in the myriad of issues that we will be facing, I think that bringing on a firm, particularly of the stature of KP Law, I think that makes sense in this circumstances. So I will be supporting it this evening.
Thank you, Councilor Moore. Anything further from councilors? Thank you for being here tonight. If you could briefly, can we just touch on in the compensation section, the specialty legal services? Can we just talk a little bit about how those would be billed? I know that's going to be sort of a separate sort of piece.
Certainly. So one of the things, for example, that has been ongoing has been a particular affordable housing 40B development further down on Washington Street you might have heard about over the last few years. Things like handling 40Bs, if you were to engage us for other litigation, or if Brian got pulled into a disciplinary hearing that then leads to a civil service hearing, things that we consider to be adversarial proceedings, those are typically billed at at the higher specialty rate. 40Bs right now are billed at $330 an hour because they are very time consuming. They are very it requires an awful lot of attention to detail. I mean, that particular case down the street that I'm talking about, I don't know if anyone recognizes the administrative record for that case is 14 volumes double-spaced. So it requires an awful lot of time and attention that takes you away from other things, so hence the higher amount. But other things like collective bargaining, or you get an open meeting law complaint, or public records requests, or we're just working with department heads about, an enforcement matter or whatever it happens to be, that's all going to be at the $255 an hour rate.
Okay. Thank you. I will be supporting this tonight. Obviously, Attorney Murray, your reputation precedes you. We have all worked with you before, and KP Law is known for the work that they've done in this municipality and in others. I struggled a little bit initially on this, of the sort of difference between an in-house counsel and having more of a vendor service. I think there's benefits and detriments to both. I think I generally would lean more towards Councilor Moran's perspective, that at some point I would like to see this as an in-house position again, but I think in the transitionary period that we find ourselves in, I think this allows us to find our footing with some quality legal services. So I will be supportive of this tonight, and I thank you both for being here at this meeting.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Vice President. Upon the request of Her Honor Mayor Joyce, the Town of Braintree, through the Braintree Town Council, in accordance with Sections 3-3 and 2-10 of the Town Charter, approve the appointment of KP Law as Town Solicitor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilor Baraka, a second by Councilor Flaherty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that is unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Initially, we had a 24012 National Grid petition as to 505 Commercial Street, but this order has been withdrawn by National Grid with no further action required. There is no new business this evening. With that said, our next meeting will be on Tuesday, March 19th of 2024. I want to thank you to BCAM for televising us here tonight, specifically Bill Needham and Jerry Comack. And with that said, at 8:02 p.m., can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilor Baraka, a second by Councilor Flaherty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is unanimous. Thank you very much.